I don't know if I really care if our guests use their cell phone or not while we're on. Like, someone was complaining in the YouTube comments that Jason Hopper was texting or using his cell phone like a 20 something. I mean, I understand why they're upset, but like, I don't care. Like, I'm 49. Maybe if you would ask me when I was 39, I would have had kind of like that, still that judgment of the world. And maybe I care that the younger generation does that. Shit, I shouldn't even say it like that. Even fucking people our age do that shit. Did
When we
comment?
first start, when we first
Go.
started doing these, I was like super conscious about not doing that, like to the
Uh-huh.
point where I would turn my phone off, airplane mode. I hate it when the beep comes on the computer, so I try
Oh,
to
I
like,
love that.
I fucking hate it. Um, and
It
but then
reminds
when
me that I have friends. It just reminds me I have friends.
but then we were on one episode, and you're like, I don't care if you use your cell phone when we're on here, and so I was like, oh, I guess he doesn't care. Maybe I should use it. Maybe I seem more important if I use it. Like, I had all these thoughts, you know.
Oh, I like that. I. It's kind of funny, like if you're listening to a show and then you hear someone's cell phone go off and you think it's yours.
Yeah.
There was a comment in the YouTube section. I go through all the comments in the YouTube section, always looking for the good mama joke. Like I'm always wanting like someone to say something so I can say, yeah, so is your mama. But
Yeah, I know. I noticed.
but someone wrote that they're obsessed with your voice. I'm gonna start working on my voice too. I mean, I think if there's one person who said they're obsessed with your voice, that means there's probably.
You know, I get questions all the time about where my accent is from, and I
Mhm.
never got questions about that until I lived in the Dominican Republic. After I came back from that, people ask me all the time, and I don't even I never know what to say. I'm like, it's just my voice.
It's funny that that's the way they word it to you when they ask me about your accent. They just say, "Hey, does he have a speech impediment?"
Set myself up for that.
Okay, we don't have time to fuck around. So I'm drinking coffee today. It's the first time I've had coffee in a long time. I said I was
Wow.
going to go a year. I failed. I'm okay with that. Anyway, so Brian is at the West Coast Classic in Las Vegas. Super hot, super competitive field. And today's day 3, but it's early in the morning. I got up super early. So did Brian. So Brian's going to give you a rundown. I'm going to try to stay quiet. Oh, yeah. People told me I need to talk louder. What the fuck? No one's ever told me that my whole life. Okay, Brian, go.
Okay.
Let's do men first. First place, Cole Sager. Second place, Sean Sweeney. Noah Olson. Brandon Luckett fourth. Dallin Pepper. That's kind of yoked out of his mind. Will Morad in sixth. Okay, so what's going on? Spencer Panchek in ninth.
Yeah, so basically, those top six guys are all very good, and all six of them would do great at the games. Um, Cole Sager, without a doubt, has been the most impressive. I mean, I think almost everyone would have projected Noah to win this semifinal, and he's been fine, but Noah's been a lot better.
You mean
Uh,
Cole has been a lot better?
yeah, sorry, Cole has been a lot better.
Dominating, 464 points versus Noah's 372.
Yeah, and Sweeney's 393. So the most impressive thing to me was actually for both Cole and Sean was the ruck run yesterday. They just looked like guys who knew how to manage an event that is honestly a games event. That you're not going to see an event like that often. It's something other than the games. They tracked down a young kid who's tall and a very good runner in James Sprague, and basically said like, this is how it's done. Um, so yeah, I've been super impressed with Cole. Sean, Noah, I think these guys will be fine. All three of those guys should be fine to make the games. The next three guys is where it's going to
Holy
be.
shit. Sorry to interrupt. Is this, is that 2 hours and 54 minutes?
Yeah,
How long? Oh, no. Okay. I'm looking at the length, the duration of, okay, never mind. Sorry.
the
What
ruck,
event? Yeah, how long was the ruck run?
31 minutes for Cole.
Okay. Still long as shit.
It,
Okay.
it took me 43 minutes. I'm actually not upset about that.
Wow. Good job. How heavy was the ruck?
They wore a 20-pound ruck for the entire run. In the first lap, they only had that. In the second lap, they picked up a 20-pound bag. In the third lap, they dropped the 20 and picked up a 30-pound bag. And these weren't bags that went in the ruck. They were like additional weights they had to carry on their shoulders. And then the final lap, they still had the 20-pound ruck, this time with a 40-pound bag.
Where do they put the 40-pound bag? On their shoulder?
Yeah, I mean, holding it like this with both sides of it draped around and like your fingers loosely around the handles is by far the best way to hold it. I mean, it's uncomfortable, but it's definitely the best way.
Is that the year Matt Fraser had it like just fall out of his backpack or something? Is that event?
Yeah, and so the Ruck reevaluated several things since then in the last 2 years. They've reconfigured their bags, they've made them a little more comfortable, and this event, they didn't have to open it and put different objects into it. Instead, they had one fixed object and then added weight externally every round.
And this kid James Sprague you're talking about, he's an 18th overall now, and he took second place. And you're saying that, oh my goodness, and Cole took first. You're saying that James and Sweeney took third. They sandwiched him.
Okay, Sprague would be a lot higher in the rankings, but he had actually a great learning opportunity for him on the rope climb workout. He's 6'3" or 6'4". He's very good. He's been at the games as a teenager twice. He's the same age as Dallin Pepper and Tudor Magda. There's three like 19-year-old guys in this field that are all very good. But he had a couple no reps on the rope climb for not showing control on the way down. He's an incredibly good mental attitude, like very positive. He recovered. I mean, he accepted it for what it was and moved on. So he'd be doing a lot better without that. But he was in the lead for almost that entire event, and there were these group of 5 men chasing him down. Chris Hinshaw called it like at the start of the third lap. He's like, the strength of the pack is scary. Someone's gonna catch him, and they did, and it was Cole.
Oh, that's a beautiful line by Chris. The strength of the pack is scary. And you know James Sprague is young because his picture in his profile is his like high school graduation with his dad. That's awesome. I love it. Okay. Uh,
What I
so
wanted
do
to
we?
say was these next 3 guys, Brandon Luckett, Dallin Pepper, and Will Morad. I think
Okay.
that two of those guys will get the last 3 spots today, and it's probably going to come down to the strict deficit handstand push-ups, because all 3 guys are going to be strong enough to do 15 muscle-ups and the squat clean ladder, and obviously there'll be margins of points to be won there. But Dallin Pepper's 6'1" or 6'2", 215. Brandon Luckett is over 6. He's 6'1", also over 200 pounds, and he has a wrist injury and an elbow injury that he's trying to navigate through the weekend. So that's for both of those guys. That is not a great movement right now. Will
So what?
Morad,
When you say injury, what do you mean? What's Brandon Luckett like?
he
Like
had
he
a
scraped
nagging.
his arm
No, no.
skateboarding, like my son, or what?
He had something wrong with his wrist coming into the weekend, or that's what I've been told at least. And the snatch workout, he actually posted on his Instagram yesterday. He did a snatch and his elbow just kind of bent the wrong way, and he immediately dropped it, fell back, was grabbing his elbow. I mean, I thought he was done for the weekend. So the fact that he's bounced back from that and done as well as he did, he finished yesterday really strong with a impressive event win coming out of the second heat on the last event.
What was the last event?
It was a regional finale from 2017. It was 30 cals on the bike, 20 burpee box jump overs, 10 D-ball cleans at 150. He
Whew.
did those unbroken. He moved fast, and he was faster than the fastest guy from 4 years ago, who also had a really fast time. I mean, there's not a lot of margin in that workout for the top guys. Like Cole,
So you're saying he injured himself in what event?
the
Did you
first
see him
one of
grab
the
his arm?
weekend. Yeah, the very first.
And then now in event 1, 2, 3, 4, in event 5, he won. He took first place.
After injuring himself, he's gone 6th, 5th, 9th, and 1st. So he's been
Ooh.
very good. And I mean, and look, what I'm saying is all 6 of these guys are good enough to compete at the games, but one of them is not going to get a spot today.
This guy Brandon Luckett we're talking about in the first event, the one you're saying that he might have injured himself, that he grabbed his arm, he took 22nd, and it says cap +1. What does that mean? That he got DNF'd? He didn't finish?
Yeah. It was the heavy snatch ladder, so he had 1 snatch left, and he didn't hit it.
Okay. Are there any other? Oh, and these events are exclusive to the West Coast
Coast.
Classic. But what I was going to ask you is, has anyone else made it to the games who DNF this year? I guess I can still ask you that.
Well, DNF. I mean, the thing is about DNF. So, like, Danny Spiegel didn't finish the ruck run yesterday, and she's also in a game spot. But I
Okay.
talked to the competition director. There was no minimum work requirement for that workout. So that's always a question when you're running a competition. What's the minimum work requirement? And if you fail to meet it, what does it mean for you going forward in the competition? Are you removed from the competition? Can you not win the competition? Like a couple years ago at the Rogue Invitational, Laura Horvath didn't meet the minimum work requirement in a strict deficit handstand push-up workout, or maybe it was a parallel kipping, whatever. And she could continue to compete. She just was ranked last.
Let me ask you this. This is falling into the weeds, and we don't have time for this bullshit.
Sorry.
But I'm gonna ask you anyway. It's my fault. I like the idea of having a minimum work requirement at the CrossFit Games. I get it. I don't know if I'd like that in the semifinals event.
I mean, I think
Or
we
do I
should.
have that asked backwards? Maybe it should be at the semifinals event and not at the games.
I think,
Help me with this one.
yeah, no, I don't think there's a clear answer to that, and there hasn't been a clear answer to it, ever. Sometimes they show up and sometimes they don't. It's oftentimes the competition director's programming style. I think when Dave was programming the regionals, which were for so long were the barrier to get to the games, because it was only one guy and it was a uniform programming across the whole workout. He was very intentional about that. This is just, I think, something that needs to be ironed out next year, amongst several other things, which we should probably talk about after semifinals finish, of what are best practices for semifinals as a qualifier for the games, especially once they can all be live competition.
We're gonna give that information away free. Shouldn't people have to contact me and then I let them talk to you? I
Um,
let you out of your little box I keep you in and be like, hey, God, I thought you were just wearing a yarmulke for a second. It must have been just a light.
I like the 2 hours a day when you let me out of the box.
Yeah. Um, what is the point of minimum work requirement? Is it so that people don't game workouts, or is it so that you don't end up with someone who gets to the games who can't snatch? I mean, yeah, what's the point of it?
Well, if you can't snatch, you're probably not going to make it anyway, right? Because you're going to do so poorly on enough number of events. I think it's for competition and entertainment. You don't want to see people on the floor just not trying. That's not fun, and it's not a good representation of the sport. And you also don't want to see people who, at the highest level that can't do certain skills.
So you're
So
saying the integrity of the sport is being compromised by entertainment and whatever the other word you did, because the goal of the games is, from my understanding, is to find the fittest human on the planet, and so
yeah, but you want to find the fittest human on the planet, and you also want them to do it against the most competitive field. If you're not competing against the best, how can you say you're the best? So what is it? So the overarching question is, how do we get the best to the games? But there's other elements that have entered the conversation over the years. We also want to represent the global community. We also want to be
oh, that makes me
marketable.
sick. That vomit. Those two make me vomit.
I'm just saying this is
I'm
a
not hating the messenger. I'm just
yeah,
telling you.
and we also want to make the sport marketable. So we want it to be digestible for the live audience and the audience that's tuning in from wherever they
Everyone just has to take their shirt off and we check that box.
are.
Marketable. Done.
Yeah, but if they're not doing anything when they take their shirt off, except for just standing there,
Yeah, that you're right. That's not good. Then if you're gonna be naked, you need to be doing stuff.
then you can just
Someone
go to a bodybuilding competition.
have you heard that description of CrossFit Games before, that it's really just the worst porn in the world? It's
Yeah,
just
I've
really
watched your
shitty.
stuff.
Oh. I don't think that's my line. I probably just use it once a week and I forget. Okay, so back to the men here. Before we switch to the women, you're saying that one of these three, fourth, fifth, and sixth, are going to make it. It's Brandon Luckett with 357 points, Dallin Pepper with 357 points, and in sixth place, Will Morad with 352 points.
Yeah,
So those 5 points are just negligible. It's basically a three-way tie right now for fourth place.
yeah. I mean, look, the three guys ahead of them are too good. They're not going to screw up today. Those three guys, I'm expecting Will to beat the other two on the first workout because he's so good at strict handstand push-ups, and nothing else should trip him up. And then it's going to come down to Brandon and Dallin, and probably who can do better on the ring muscle up, squat, clean, ladder to end the weekend, which is fine. I mean, one of them is gonna earn it, and the other one's gonna have to earn it through the last chance qualifier.
Can Noah Olson take first place in
No,
the? No.
in this competition, no.
How about in any of the last two workouts? Or is there only one
Yeah, he
left?
might.
Oh,
No, there's
two
two
left.
left. He might
Okay.
win the push-pull workout today. Yeah, he was. I mean, he was excellent at that 7 years ago. He should be great at it.
Who has the best body out of these guys?
The best body of the entire field.
No, out of these top six, like who looks the best out there? Is it Noah?
Um, if you, unless you like big guys, then it might be Dallin.
Oh yeah, he's huge. How does a 19-year-old get that big?
That's just genetics, man. I mean, you can't. I could never train and look like that.
Just drinking my last sip of coffee of
I
my
also
first
just
cup.
want to say, like, despite the fact that it's only six that can make it at this point, based on the points, there are 10 other guys that can be spoilers on the day. They can have great workouts and slap themselves in between there and disrupt the points. Because there are some good guys that have had some unfortunate circumstances this weekend or less than ideal performances that are still very good in these two workouts.
Cole Sager has 464 points. Is each workout 100 points?
Yeah.
So to give you an idea, um, he's almost 200 points ahead of 12th place.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
that's
but I mean,
insane.
this is what
He's
happens.
killing it. He's
Yeah.
killing it.
And what basically what I've taken away from this weekend when it comes to Cole Sager is he has reasserted himself into a top 5 conversation when it comes to the games.
Is this normal for him? 202 pounds to show up this big?
Yeah, I think he's competing at the normal weight he'd usually compete at. But what's not normal for him is to dominate at a semifinal. He's usually scraping to get in from the regionals.
I watched day one and the first event. They did the camera. I don't think the camera went on Cole or Noah except for 5 seconds. Even one of the commentators made a joke at the 6 minute mark and goes, "Oh, look at Noah's here," like kind of like making fun of themselves because they hadn't shown him yet. If you see who's in charge of that camera work, would you just go over to them and just like lick your hand and slap the shit out of them for me? Be like, "Oh, this is from Sevan, nothing personal." I mean, it's crazy. Don't get me wrong. I love the hype around Dallin Pepper. It was so fun watching a new guy come on strong. But there's no context when I can't see Cole Sager and Noah Olson. Hey,
Yeah.
they're
No,
they're the
that is a great point right there. If you're just watching down in isolation, you don't realize, holy shit, he's beating these guys in a heavy snatch ladder by over a minute. These guys that have been on the podium at the games, that have been top 5 at the games, that have won sanctional events, that are perennial contenders, and there's in the past I've made some I don't want to say excuses, but maybe justifications for the floor layout or whatever else. This is the best floor I've ever seen. I think it's slightly less long than the old regional floor. It's a perfect width and length to be able to tell every story, whether you're live or at home. And I don't see, unless they're like short on budget and don't have enough cameras, there's no reason they shouldn't be able to tell the story very well with what's here. But I haven't watched any of the broadcasts yet. I'll watch that this week when I get home.
Let me just say that. Let's just say, and I'm making this completely up, that 50% of the people who are watching, no, let's say 100% of the people who are watching know who Cole Sager and Noah Olson is, and let's say 50% love them and 50% hate them. That means that regardless, you're invested into seeing them lose or to see them win, and to not show them is complete. It's
Yeah, and then
insanity, and it only hurts Dallin Pepper. I mean, don't get me. I love the fact that they focused on him. It was really cool, but like, yeah, it's
no,
just
but you're watching. It's the
it's
first event of
nuts
the
to
weekend.
me.
It's the first event of the weekend. You want to hook people in. You want to draw them
Yeah.
in. You're not going to show the two most popular guys in the competition.
And one of Noah's some of the greatest shots of Noah are right before the competition. He gets really pensive. He gets really just like that first 30 seconds. I remember, I can picture it in my head now when he gets out there onto the floor. He's like the space shuttle right before it takes off. I mean, he's
I saw that in him yesterday, right before the Triple G chipper. He looked focused, and I was like,
oh
"Man,
my
he's going to
god.
win this event."
And did he win it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's just full thrusters on and he gets all fucking agitated. He's like a pit bull just like waiting to be led into the dog park and take someone's tennis ball. I mean,
And actually, him and Cole both have this characteristic. They're very generous and kind humans off the competition
yes.
floor, but when they take that starting mat and they get ready to compete, they flip the switch.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Did you mention yesterday when I was texting you, you were saying that there was some I don't know, controversies too strong, but you were saying that one of the events there was something great to talk about. Do you remember that? What it was?
Uh, one of the you don't know which event?
No, I don't. And
Was it the
maybe it's about the Atlas games too. I'm totally sorry. I'm totally taking this out of context. Okay, let's move to the women before we run out of time here. And
Sure.
I do want to talk about Fukowski.
Yeah, we.
Fukowski. Okay, so West Coast Classic women's event. Bethany Shadburn in first place. Once again, I watched. I think I watched that opening of that event. I don't remember seeing her in the video of during the first event. And she's great to look at. Carrie Pierce, I don't remember seeing much of her. Maybe I'm wrong. I did see Danielle Brandon a little bit, Reagan Huckabee, Danny Spiegel. So those are your top 5. Oh, and they're not running away with it. Yeah, Bethany Shadburn is running away with it.
No, Bethany and Carrie are well clear of the field. They're 8 points ahead, and they have looked, as a totality of body of work, they've just been the best 2. Carrie Pierce, that's not that surprising. Bethany Shadburn has been as impressive to me as Cole Sager, and not just her performances or results on a leaderboard, but the way she's moving. I talked to her after the snatch. I was like, she was just standing by herself, and I was walking by. I said, "Hey, just so you know, like you looked awesome doing that workout. Your shoulders were in such good positions. It was great to see you moving like that." And she was very grateful. She's like, "Thank you. I feel good, but it's nice to hear that someone can see that." So I think she is in a bet like as fit and more in control of herself as an athlete than she's ever been.
Interesting that you spoke to her, but when we were talking about the men, let me go back over here. And there was a man I mentioned, and you acted like you hadn't. Did you talk to Brandon Luckett yesterday?
I haven't talked to him.
Jesus, so he's been injured, and you're speculating on his injury, and you haven't talked to him, but Bethany Shadburn you
Because
talked to. Okay,
I don't seek out these conversations. That was just a rand. I wouldn't have talked to her either. She was just
okay,
standing by herself in the
just
hallway, and I happened to walk by.
just a data point for me, buddy. Just a data point for me. Okay, so are you surprised? I mean, she's always been good,
Yep.
but is this going to change her whole reality now that she's like, oh my God, look at this field of people, and I'm in, and I'm winning?
She has to do it at the games. If she does this at the games, if she plays fifth at the games this year, then yes, then she is up there in the conversation, in the caliber of best female athletes in the sport. Obviously, there's Tia, there's maybe Kara, and a couple, but she's right there, and especially she's beating Carrie, who's been the fittest in the U.S. for a while now.
And Bethany's 100 points ahead of fifth place, just to put it in context. 98 points, which is
Yeah, but that girl in sixth place is actually doing incredibly well, and still has a chance. But it's a
Alexis
small chance.
Raptis.
Yeah, I think she uses Training Think Tank for her programming. Morning Chalk-Up did a little article on her yesterday because I told him, I was like, this girl's actually doing well. Once she did well on the ruck run, I think she was third on the ruck, and she was fourth on the Triple G chipper. She's a little bit of a bigger girl. I was like, damn, she's young, but she's good. The problem is the girls ahead of her have too much experience. Danny Spiegel's in fifth, and she's taken a 27th, which is basically last on the ruck run. Her other placements were second, sixth, fifth, and first. She's not going to, well, I shouldn't say that. There's those deficit handstand push-ups looming in the first workout, and Danny's a big girl. But Danielle Brandon's a big girl. Alexis Raptis is a big girl. Chloe Wilson and Kelly Stone, who are right behind her, are also big girls. And Sydney Wells, who's in ninth, the only
Oh shit!
the only chinks in her armor so far are high skill movements.
That's Brooke Wells' sister right there, sitting in ninth.
Dude, she was awesome yesterday. So after the first day, I was like, okay, she's not.
Is
Is
the crowd losing their shit when she comes out?
Yeah, she won her heat in that final last night, and it was pretty exciting. Everyone was pumped about that. And look at her results yesterday. She was 9th, 7th, and 6th. Those are great finishes. I mean, this is her first real live competition. So if you look at her and you say, oh, she didn't do great on the snatch, she didn't do great in the legless rope climbs, maybe she struggles on the deficit handstand push-ups. Those are high-end skills. Those are the last things that come around for a top-end competitor. She has the work capacity, and she has the determination and ability to fight on the competition floor. So she might actually be someone to watch in years to come. She's not gonna make it this year, but she has potential.
You going back to Alexis? I want to talk about Sydney Wells, but Alexis Raptis, you said she does Think Tank. That's what Travis Mayer does. Think Tank.
Yeah, they have a lot of athletes here actually.
And when you say they're big girls, what do you mean? Because I like it that you say that, because I think that makes me think you're going to get torn up on YouTube, and you've had way too many nice comments.
Over 150 or over 155 pounds, and the average women's athlete's usually 145. When you're talking about doing 45 strict deficit handstand push-ups, an extra 10 pounds, and especially if you're a little bit taller also, because usually if you're heavier, you're taller, the extra range of motion and the extra weight for that particular movement is obviously disadvantageous against someone like Carrie Pierce.
Yeah, Danny Spiegel's 168. And she's 5'6". That's interesting because they all look amazing. I mean, you would never say.
Oh yeah, it's not to say anything that's a problem. It's just saying that we know that in the sport there are certain movements that are going to be better if you're heavier, and there's going to be better that you're lighter, and better if you're shorter, and better if you're taller. The key is, can you manage the ones that you're not as good at? And that's what Dallin Pepper told me. He's like, I just have to do damage control on that workout. I know what I can do. I can't get caught up in what Noah and Cole are doing. They're different athletes than me.
You talked to Dallin?
Someone told me that he said that.
God damn it. Just so you know, we have no authentic information on here. Brian just either speaks to Tommy, Sean, or Armin and gets all his information, and we just steal it from those guys. Even though Brian stands closer to the athletes than anyone else, God forbid he talk to them. He doesn't want to be rude. When Brian says, "Just so you know that they're bigger," he is spreading a disease and he is being rude. No, I'm just joking. Listen, people. These people work on their bodies 24 hours a day. We told Jason Hopper he's huge. Whenever you work on your body 24 hours a day, your sleep, your feeding, your clothing, the angle in which you brush your teeth, that's open season for us to talk about their bodies. We mean nothing negative by it. Don't be fucking crazy if you think it's wrong to say that. You can say anything you want about these people's bodies without being a scumbag. They're basically racehorses, and they should accept and want their bodies to be talked about because those are their race cars. So if we see something or notice something, it's okay.
Additionally, like,
It's all in love. We're just studying these machines, these incredible machines.
and they're all so good that, when I'm breaking down a workout, I have to look and see, why does this person have the potential to do better than this person? And it could be any number of things, and in some cases it does come down to body type.
Right. And we even said it to Hopper on the show, like, hey, the test is going to be when you go upside down and you have to do more than 5 or 6 or 10 handstand push-ups, strict handstand push-ups, or deficit in a row, right?
Mhm.
Going back to Sydney Wells, why is she? I mean, think of what a competitor she must be. Her sister's already in the sport. She's kind of getting in the game late. I mean, I haven't been paying attention for years, but I remember early on that she kind of had no interest in CrossFit. I mean, she was a great supporter of her sister, but she was doing track, and now she's. How did she make it to a semifinals so fast? What's she been doing?
Well, she was a competitive track athlete in college, and Tia Claire Toomey's background is in track. We've seen track athletes do well in this sport before, and like I said, that ability to just line up on a starting line in an individual competition and fight for whatever's in front of you in your lane is something that she's been doing her whole life. Obviously, her sister's got a tremendous amount of capacity, and we know from the sport that it's not uncommon for siblings to do well in this sport.
Um, do you have you been to her Instagram account?
No.
I wonder how if she's just exploding. I mean, what a cool. I mean, she could be like basically she could become like the Dan Bailey of the sport, have no go, but be able to,
See, we can't.
parlay.
Yeah, and we can't leave the women's field without at least mentioning Reagan Huckabee.
Oh yeah, she looked, but at the most superficial level, she looked amazing.
Yeah, and
She looks amazing.
she's in her mid 30s. She's been doing this a long time. She's a mom. She did great in both the online portions of competition, and I wasn't sure how good she'd do here. I mean, I thought she'd be in the top 8, but she's ahead of Danny Speed, and it's incredible. It's very impressive. She's Let me see if she had any bad. No, 10th is her worst finish so far. I mean,
34 years old.
yeah, she's awesome, and she's most likely going to make the games this year for her 4th time as an individual. She's competed there on a team before as well with Invictus's teams, and yeah, she's awesome. She's smiling, she's happy, she's engaging with people, and I'm really happy for her.
Are any of these women possible podium at the games?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I do think that there is an outside chance for all 3 of the girls from Underdog Athletics, which is Carrie Pierce, Bethany Shedd, to make the podium at the games. I would say it's like I said, 25% chance or less. Danielle Brandon to me is actually the most scary of the 3. She just needs to get her mindset right. And I think she would say that too. She knows that if she can she's had her ups and downs this weekend in terms of performance, but she's rallied mentally, and I think she's moving in the right direction. So I think she might actually be the best at the games, even though she's not doing the best this weekend.
Okay, let's talk some shit about Matt O'Keefe and Dylan. Tell me all the bad shit about the games. Like, are you seeing needles in the locker room? Are the events starting late? Has O'Keefe shown up drunk a few times, stumbling around? Like, what's going on? How's the event?
Um, I I think it's been good. The programming yesterday to me was very impressive as a whole. To have a workout like the ruck run is a risk. It's gonna especially when it's so hot in Vegas as it is. But they moved it into the morning, and it was brutal. I mean, a lot of athletes were in bad shape after that, but they gave them a break in competition, which is warranted, so that they could come back and test them. Are you able to recover in a 4-hour window and perform, tough workouts? And then the finale was great. It was a sprint workout, 3 minutes. Dave is notorious, famous for doing workouts like that at the end of regionals that are super high drama and excitement. Danny Spiegel and Daniel Brandon had perhaps the closest finish we've ever seen in a competition, 0.3 of a second. They were chasing each other down. They were the two athletes that I thought would win that event. They performed exactly like I wanted them to and like they needed to. And then the men's race was like everyone was finishing at the same time. It was a great day of competition. The one kind of, if I was going to pick apart something from yesterday, would be the ruck run for the teams. If you look at the leaderboard, one team finished under the time cap. Two teams say cap, and then all the rest of the teams say cap +1. They were all on the last run. So I think they just needed to extend the time cap for the teams relative to the individuals. They addressed that very professionally, I think, with the teams after the competition, because they realized in the middle of it that what they'd briefed was going to end up being an issue because they told athletes, they said to the teams, they said, we know you're frustrated with the way that this ended up, but we have to stay true to what we briefed you guys on. We'll try to improve next time, and I believe that they will.
Who cares if they all capped?
Because let's just say, I'll give you an example. There was a team that was in first place after lap 3, and lap 3 was the last checkpoint for 1,500 meters. But that last lap with 4 people holding a rope and a total of 240 pounds of weight is going to take 10 to 15 minutes. So you have no checkpoint to go back to that's within 12 minutes of the finish of the workout, which means if you were in the first place and you go out after lap 3, this happened. The team in first place had a girl who was struggling with the heat. Several teams passed them, but none of those teams made it back to the next checkpoint. And so they finished ahead of all of them on the leaderboard and got more points, even though their performance over the totality of 40 minutes was worse. They were further away from the finish line at the end of the workout. But I don't think that you can
I didn't
go back
exactly understand that. I don't know if I need to, but I do understand. But I do understand what you're saying. You're saying that between the last checkpoint that denotes what place you're in and the finish line, there was a 1,500-meter stretch.
Yeah.
So was there a 4-way tie for first place?
No, because there were tie breaks, and your tie break was your third lap chip time.
Okay.
So if you were the first team to cross lap 3 and you just sat down on the course for the whole time, knowing, well, none of these teams are going to finish anyway, you'd still get more points than them.
Did anyone do that?
Not on purpose. One team had to because one of their girls couldn't finish, so she couldn't walk anymore.
Oh, now I understand what you're saying.
So
I understand what you're saying.
them, but none of them made it to the next checkpoint because it was so far away, and everyone got time capped. So that team got more points than all the other teams that had passed them on the last lap.
Wow.
So I just want to be clear. Like, that's not how it should be. You should be rewarded for your performance. However, once you brief the athletes that these are the rules, you cannot go back after the competition and say, actually, we're going to change the rules and give these teams different points. But and especially this week, to me, that is critical because CrossFit made a different decision last week on the online competition.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with you. I see what you're saying, but I think the most important thing is to get the best person to the games, even if it means someone's feelings were hurt or like you're putting all the integrity on the event in one place when maybe it shouldn't be there.
If you lay out a set of rules, then the athletes and coaches have the opportunity to execute within those parameters. If you change the parameters after they've already performed, then
I see what you're saying.
To me, that's a gray area.
I see what you're saying. Unless you change it on every, Anyway, another conversation. You know, there was an event at the CrossFit Games one year, and this is back in Carson, and I'm going to screw it up a little bit. Maybe you know this story, but there was a workout where there was like 70 pull-ups and like 120 thrusters, and Dave announced it wrong. He switched the two, so it ended up being 120 thrusters and 70 pull-ups. Like he reversed it, and he announced it, and the whole. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure I do.
It was in the outdoor stadium, and the whole time he's saying it, I think, as I recall, Adrian Bosman is like yelling at him from far, Dave, like screaming at him, letting him know he's fucking it up, and. I don't know if this is how I remember it. Maybe I'm wrong, but basically Dave announces it. The athletes start. Adrian comes over. He's like, "Dude, you said it wrong." And Dave's basically like, I don't remember exactly how it done, but it was fucking hilarious. It didn't affect the event, and he, like you said, he just stuck with it. They just changed the games on the fly right there. I mean, this is like in 2010, and basically the thrusters and the pull-up numbers just got reversed, and it was awesome. It was a testament to how good the athletes are. They didn't, you know what I mean? They just 70 thrusters, 120 thrusters, 70 pull-ups, 120 pull-ups, whatever. Get some.
Yeah, man, the athletes are they're gonna do their best no matter what you tell them to do. But once you say this is what you got to do and this is how we're gonna judge you on it, I think you have to adhere to that.
Yeah. Um, Anything else you want to say here about the women before we move on to the Atlas Games?
No, I think the 5 girls in the top 5 are probably going to remain, and will all be excellent representatives at the games if they do.
How happy are you that you're there? Are you just stoked? I mean, we're always being critical and picking, and is it just like if someone came with their like if I came with my kids and my wife, would I be stoked? Is it fun? Is there cool places to sit down, nice people?
Oh yeah, this is a good. This is a good. I don't know if they'll ever use this venue again, but it's a good venue. There's a space for the vendor village. You can go around between events and buy some stuff, do some challenges at the U.S. Army or Warrior Fitness thing or whatever you want. The every seat in the arena has a great perspective of the floor. There's space for media to get around. The athletes have their own space. It's a great venue for a competition like this.
So it's cool.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Atlas Games. Patrick Vellner in first place. Jeffrey Adler second. Samuel Cornhole in third. Alex Vinny in fourth. And Tyler Christoffel in fifth. Oh, God, I wish sixth place was in first place. What an easy name. Phil Toon. And then in seventh place, we have, oh, that's almost like Spittoon. And then in seventh place, we have Brent Fukowski. He's actually 102 points behind Patrick Vellner.
I don't care how far he is behind Vellner. How far is he behind Christopher?
He is 35 points behind fifth place.
Yeah. So, I mean, Friendly Fran is the worst workout Fukowski could ever hope to see in an online competition like this.
They probably did that on purpose to weed him out.
The singular worst thing for Fukowski is high volume of pull-ups. He'll manage bar muscle-ups and ring muscle-ups better than he'll manage pull-ups or chest bar pull-ups. And thrusters at a light weight like that, that's one of those movements where Fukowski's never going to beat Josh Bridges on a thruster workout unless the weight's too heavy for Bridges, because the range of motion is too much. So I knew he would do bad on that workout, and he'd be in a hole to start the weekend. Workout 2, he didn't do as well as I thought he'd do. I thought he could finish top 5 there. I think he was like 13th. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, he's not going to make it. And the reason why I don't think he's going to make it is because the last workout of the weekend, Gretel, is a workout I think should never be programmed in an online competition. In a live competition, I don't have as much a problem with it, like if there's a finale for a regional, because you can move the bar on the floor. There's just a lot of different elements with judging.
Will you tell them what the workout is? It's the 10-minute workout or 10-round workout, right?
Yeah, it's Grace plus 30 burpees. It's 3 clean and jerks, 3 burpees over the bar, 10 rounds per time.
Let me tell you how arrogant CrossFitters are. I go, will you tell him the workout, what Gretel is? And he goes, yeah, it's Grace with this. I'm like, Jesus Christ. No. But say it a little slower, Brian. I know we're in a hurry, but not everyone computes at your processing power. What is Gretel?
3 clean and jerks, 135 pounds for the men, 95 pounds for the women, 3 bar-facing burpees, 10 rounds for time. So
is that a sprint?
Yes, it's everything you got until you can't feel your body, and then keep going for 3 minutes. And the problem is for Brent is he's incredibly strong. He can move the barbell great. He can manage burpees in big sets better than just about anyone. But this is, again, range of motion matters. If you got to get the bar from ground to overhead and you're 5'7" compared to 6'3", and you have the same work capacity, the 5'7" guy is going to win. If you got to get your body off the ground and over a bar 30 times, and you're 5'7" compared to 6'3", the 5'7" guy is going to be faster. A lot of these guys have the same work capacity within a 3-minute window, and that's just not. It's a great test. There's a place for it. I don't like it in the online format, and I don't like it for Fukowski. So I think he's.
Why don't you like it in the online format?
I just like that test better when there's an ability to advance down the floor. I think it makes it a little bit. It gives a little bit more possibility for some things to happen that can allow a guy to just execute more cleanly and make up for a range of motion limitation or something like that. Now I could be totally wrong. We might see him smash that workout, but I just have a feeling that it's not gonna be enough. It's not gonna be enough. However, that's not the reason why I thought he would make it when I saw the totality of workouts. He didn't do well enough on workout 2, and that's why I think he's going to be out. He did great on yesterday's workouts, moved from 15th up to 7th. He should do amazing on this rowing, rope climb and legless rope climb and handstand walking workout. So he, if we could see the leaderboard after event 5, which we won't be able to see, he might be sitting in 5th place even. He could win that workout. He probably will win that workout. But if just like Jason Hopper, he
You froze on me, just so you know. I'm just pretending like I'm listening now, so that he might butt. You said just like Jason Hopper, and you froze.
Yeah, he might be very close time-wise to the best time in that workout, but it's such small margins for time that it might be a 15th placement.
Did I hear you say that he might win workout 5? That's the one, the rowing one, and the handstand walk.
Yeah, he's great at handstand walking. He's a world class at legless rope climbs, and he's a good rower.
So you think
Long.
he's gonna? You think that he's gonna shit the bed so hard and workout 6?
No, I think he's going to do the absolute best that he could possibly do on that workout, and it's not going to be enough.
Interesting. Well, let's talk about 4th and 5th place. How do they do in workout 5 and 6? You're saying that Alex and Tyler, Alex Vigneault, pronounce his name for me.
Alex Vigneault is a very similar body type to Fukowski, but he's got a big points cushion on him. And Tyler Christoffel is a shorter, smaller power athlete who could be top 5 in that workout.
With great hair. Wow, he's got great hair.
And Christoffel, I love Tyler Christoffel. I think he used to compete with CrossFit 417. He always does pretty well on online competitions, and he never lives up to that standard or ranking when it comes to live competitions.
Dude, so, Alex does not have the same body as Brett Fukowski. What are you talking about?
He's over 6 feet tall, and he's over 210 pounds. That's what I mean.
Oh my God, Fukowski is 217 pounds?
Yeah, and he's lean.
That is insane. God, I had no idea he was that big. I would have guessed he's 195, 6'2", 195. That's incredible. Just says what I know about people. So you're saying what Alex and Tyler, Alex who's in 4th and Tyler who's in 5th, are going to do well enough to fight off Fukowski. That's your prediction. That's a bold prediction.
Okay.
Patrick Vellner is just going to take first. Keep going. Run. He's just going to run away with it.
The top 3 right now are the 3 I projected top 3 before this competition began. Not everyone knows Samuel Cornway as well as Adler and Vellner, but those 3 guys are very well-rounded. And should have no problem staying in the top 3 spots.
Did Brent see the programming and go, "Oh shit, this fucking weekend is basically sandwiched on either end with 2 workouts that are going to make this damn near impossible for me"?
One of the things I think is the biggest conversation that needs to be had around semifinals is how many tests are there going to be? Because to me, and I've spoken to several people here this weekend who have the same sentiment, there's a big difference in a 6-event competition and a 7-event competition. I think if there were 7 events, he would make the games.
What do you think? Do you have a preference for how many workouts there should be?
For the qualifier to the CrossFit Games, I think it should be at least 7.
Wow.
I think 7 is a great number.
Because it's half as many events as the CrossFit Games, roughly?
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that about 6 too.
Yeah, and then if you have 2 workouts that are under 5 minutes, you can offset them with 2 workouts that are 20 and 30 minutes or something like that, a little bit more easily, and you still have a space for a strength event if you want a strength event. It makes it a little bit easier to program workouts that can skew the leaderboard. And there's nothing wrong with workouts that skew the leaderboard. You need to test everything. But, to me, if you have the opportunity to have 6 tests or 7 and you're trying to get the best guys to the games, do 7 tests.
Sorry, I'm switching as we run out of time here. I'm switching to the women's leaderboard for the Atlas Games. I'm singularly focused on 3rd place, Carolyn Prevost.
I'm singularly focused on 2nd place, Sydney Michaelishin.
Okay, I don't know who that is. Tell me why.
Sydney and actually several athletes. I think there were over a dozen athletes that took at least 2-minute penalties on workout number 2 in this workout. Some of whom have posted some stuff about it. And again, this is that double dumbbell movement workout would be totally different in live competition than in a gym, because we know from the workout at the games in 2019, for example, with the double kettlebell shoulder to overhead, that athletes were getting a ton of no reps. But it's really different to get no reps while the workout is happening than to get suddenly a 2-minute penalty 24 hours after you did the workout. And that mentally messes with people a little differently. She's only 21 years old. This is the girl that would have qualified. She was competing at Wodapalooza in the RX division, which is the second division at Wodapalooza. She won it. If she had been competing in the elite division, which was like Tia Claire Toomey, Sarah Sigmund's daughter, like tons of games athletes, she would have placed 7th, which would have qualified her to the games that year.
Wow.
And then she was slated to compete at Atlas Games. She's going to try to make a run at the games anyway, and it got canceled. The whole season got canceled, so no one knew who she was. So I have been super excited to see her compete and see if she's actually that good. And so far, she has been.
How is she going to do in the 5th and 6th event? Because I bet you Carolyn Prevost, am I saying her name right? I think she's going to do Prevost. Yeah. She's going to do incredible in that last event. I mean, she's made to go.
Yeah. I think the 3 girls in first right now, barring any crazy penalty situations, Mackenzie Riley, Sydney McCalishin, and Carolyn Prevost, and honestly Emily Rolfe, who I think is in 4th. I think they'll all make the games.
What's Carolyn's weakness? Is it strength?
I don't know what her upper end strength is. I think she's pretty well rounded. I think she's like a dangerous top 10 threat at the games, even in the loaded women's field. I'm really excited to see her at the games and see her what she looks like over the totality of 13 tests. I think more reasonable for her this year at the games is like 15th to 20th. But if she has a great weekend, that she could be pushing for 10.
And she's the kind of person who can ruin other people's days. You know what I mean? Like someone who wants to do well, or she can push the pace to a point where she makes other people who really have a chance to win the games uncomfortable. She's really a remarkable athlete. If you don't follow her on Instagram, you should. Her posts are crazy. Do you follow her?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, she's amazing. Anything else you want to talk about this? The women's? I don't recognize any of these people's names, so I'm kind of over it.
Who's in 5th, 6th,
7th? 5th place is Annika Greer, with a very interesting name of Annika. Oh, spelling of Annika. And 6th is Alexis Johnson. A lot of Alexis. Oh, 7th place, China Cho here.
Alexis Johnson. Alexis and China obviously are games veterans. So
I don't recognize Alexis. I'm looking just at a little tiny picture. But China Cho's in it. I mean, she's 6 points out of qualifying.
I think it's really tight on the women's leaderboard from maybe even from 3rd to 10th is really tight, like 20 points or something. So there could be a ton of shakeup in the leaderboard. The reason why I think Emily Rolfe and Carolyn Prevost will still make it is because I just think they're that good.
Yeah, hey, you're absolutely right. This is really tight. 11th place has 270 points, and 5th place has 285, and 4th place has 288. Holy shit, this is... A matter of fact...
And now you throw that workout Gretel into the mix. And we know 5 seconds, 10 seconds can be 5 or 10 places in that workout. So, I mean, even though I'm saying these girls are probably going to make it, anything can happen in a workout like that, especially when you don't get to do it against your competitors. You just are doing it blind in your gym.
It makes it exciting, that's for sure, right?
Not as exciting as it'd be if they were lining up and we knew that all these girls on the floor.
Correct. I'm just standing up for the workout. Like some people might be like, "Oh, the 5 seconds shouldn't determine whether you go to the games or not," and it's like, yeah, it should. But you're right. It would be amazing if they were all next to each other. I agree.
I would like the workout a lot better live as a finale, and yes, the drama would be super high.
Anything else you want to talk about before I export this and get this up and we make $6 on YouTube?
The Russians are killing it in Asia.
Oh, great. Okay, let's do that. Let's look over there. CF Asia Invitational. Yes, they are. Can those men come to the United States? Are the Russians going to have any issues coming here? I know they've had issues in the past.
Well, Roman won't be able to get to the United States, but the other two guys, Alexander Ilin and Stas Solodov, they should be fine. I mean, well, assuming that any athletes can get to the United States. Ilin has competed at the games before. Stas Solodov's a masters athlete. He's already made it to the games this year. So, I would expect that if athletes are able to travel internationally to the United States, that both of those guys would be able to come, but we won't get to see Roman in the United States.
And do you know why that is? I feel like we've talked about this before, and you always avoid talking about it.
I will do that again.
Okay, so Roman's in first place. He's tied for first place with 348, with a guy named Stas Solodov, and Alexander Ilin is in third place with 342. Very close.
Yeah.
There's another guy who's not Russian, but he has a Russian name, Denis Samsonov. He's in fourth. Let's just say he's Russian. What flag is that? That's an incredible flag.
Is it Bahrain?
Oh, Kyrgyzstan.
Kyrgyzstan? Okay.
Kyrgyzstan. And fifth place is Mortazez Sidgat. He sounds like a UFC fighter. What? You want to
That's
say his
all-
name?
Only reason I wanted to bring up Asia was so you could say these names.
Thank you. What is that guy's name?
I'm not sure. I'm not looking at it.
Okay. Oh, and he's from Iran. 312 points. Man, and in sixth place we have another Russian. And in eighth place we have another Russian. Oh, is CrossFit exploding in Russia?
Go look at the women's leaderboard.
Incredible. Are any of these people podium threats?
No,
Oh.
not the men. Roman would be the best chance at the games to get into the top 10, but that is what it is.
There's a Japanese competitor in fifth place, Yuko Sakuyama. What's her
There's a
history with
South
the
Korean
games?
in second place, isn't there?
There is.
Yeah, so then probably first, third, and fifth are Russians.
Correct. First, third, and fourth.
First, third, and fourth. Excuse me. Yeah. So all five of those girls, like I kind of know who they are in Asia. Well, I shouldn't say I know who they are. They were the five girls that I was expecting to be towards the top in Asia, and I was hoping that someone that wasn't Russian would make it from Asia because I actually really enjoyed watching I don't know what to call them, the Oriental Asian athletes, like the South Koreans, the Japanese.
I don't think you're allowed to say that word, but go on.
How do you distinguish the ones that are from Eastern Asia from Western Asia?
It doesn't matter until the podcast gets huge. So just keep feeling around in the dark.
But like those athletes, just have different body types, and it was cool to see some different body types that were still capable of doing all these movements at the games in 2019. And a couple of those girls have competed at the sanctionals, in Asia when they were there the last 2 seasons, and have showed potential. So I'm hopeful that one of them can get in. But the 3 Russian girls that are up there are also going to be rookies if they make the game. So either way, we're going to get newcomers. I shouldn't say. Some of them have been there in 2019, but I kind of consider that an outlier. So they'll be their first year to be able to compete at the games in the full spectrum of a games test.
When you say different body types, don't forget about the guy who just qualified, the guy who pushes hay with the mullet.
Colton Mertens.
Yeah. All body types, Brian. Don't be.
No, it's awesome.
Don't be
that's the great thing about the
prejudiced.
sport. You can get a guy who's, 10 inches and 50 pounds lighter lining up and throwing down against the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, in different ratios of leg to torso and arm and
hair.
Yes. Do we know how many affiliates there are in Japan? I love seeing someone from Japan there because I know CrossFit is not, or traditionally it wasn't very popular in Japan, and I just love to see it, creep into a community that loves movement so much, into a country that loves movement so much.
I don't know those numbers.
And they have 2. And then look at this guy from Israel. Look at his name. Imagine his name is or her name. Sorry, her name. Yeah. What a great name, Or.
Yeah, I know a couple of the Israeli athletes. There's 2 women, Nicole Patel and Or Cohen, and there's 2 guys, Eitan Lieberman and Ram Dover, that are in this competition. They're good. And but I don't think they're as good as the Russian athletes. Not yet, at least.
Man, there's a Syrian, Brunei.
And that's cool. I do like the continental structure of the semifinals, where you get athletes from different countries at these qualifier events. They need the experience, and then the live competition experience counts for something. And then you'll see them come back year after year, and maybe one of these will break through eventually, and maybe we'll get even more representation from those countries as it continues to grow there. I mean, that's speculative, but we'll see.
But this isn't a live event, right?
No.
Yeah, that's a shame. If there, I haven't really cared anywhere, but that's a shame, especially when you have these communities that are in their infancy. They're the ones who really need the live event because that would really generate more energy and love around the sport.
Next
Is
year,
this a
hopefully
sport?
next year it'll happen. I believe.
Would you call CrossFit a sport?
Yeah.
Is it a lifestyle?
Yes.
Is it a fitness methodology? No, health methodology, life methodology. Is it a cult?
I think you could say yes to all of those.
Is there anything else you want to add to this? How about a dark horse pick for this West Coast Classic? Who's someone who you're like, oh shit, they with 2 days left, they can still just screw shit up.
Matt Poulin. Matt Poulin was like the 5th or 6th seeded male out of the quarterfinals in this field, and I've talked about how deep this field is, but I knew nothing about him. I talked to him. I did talk to him, Sevan. I talked to a guy.
Of course you did.
I talked to him on Thursday at Athlete Check-In, and just kind of, I was like, "Hey man, I don't recognize who you are," you know, and he told me who he was, and I said, "Oh, I do recognize you by name, and I'm excited to see you compete this weekend." I asked him if there were any workouts in particular that he knew he could do well on, and he said the ruck run would probably be his best workout, and it was. I think he finished 4th. Well, he actually finished 3rd in the Triple G chipper also, and he's not a big dude. Like he's a well-built 5'10", 190 type guy. He might do well on this handstand push-up workout, and if Dallin Pepper really struggles with it, or Brandon Luckett's elbow is bothering him, he could potentially sneak in there and be right there with just the finale to go.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And I mean, look, guys like
317
this,
points. I would love to. We need someone like that to root for.
yeah, and we've had. I mean, guys like this have been making it. You know, we had Zach Watts, we had Colton Mertens. We've seen some women get in there that most people don't know who they are, and Ariel Lowen. So it could happen. It definitely could happen. We didn't talk about him earlier, but if you want a dark horse, he could be an unknown guy to make a move today and possibly do it.
And when you say he's not a big guy, when you say Matt Poulin is not a big guy, but he's the right size. 5'10", 195. I mean, that's the size, right? That's the games winner size.
That's the average size of a top 10 athlete at the games over the last 7 years, yeah.
Isn't that amazing? He's 5 to 7 pounds lighter than what Matt Fraser competes at, and yet 4 to 5 inches taller.
Yeah, Matt's like a bowling ball, bro. It's dense.
Yeah, but it's weird when you stand next to him. It doesn't seem like that. Like I never stood next to him and been like, oh shit, I'm standing next to like, you know what I mean? I've never felt like he's
No, I didn't. I don't feel that way
disproportional.
when I stand next to him or Rich. But when I bumped up against them, like I was in a booth with him with Fraser at Wadapalooza one time, and I just, we were rubbing shoulders, just standing close, and I was like, wow, there's no give here.
Right. That's for sure.
And Rich is the same way. I went to a thing with him years ago and took a picture next to him, just put my arm around him, and I felt like I was putting my arm on like a marble statue or something.
Yeah. That's always weird. All the CrossFit men and women are like that. When you hug them, you don't even feel like you're hugging a woman. You're like, wow, this is just like hugging a rock.
There's a guy here.
It literally is weird.
There's a guy here from the Northeast who won the Wadapalooza Strong competition 2 years ago when I was working it, and he was like, "Oh, Brian Friend," and gave me a hug, and like I thought he might have cracked a rib.
Like he hurt you? Like he hugged you too tight?
He's just so freaking strong. He can just put an 800-pound yoke on his back and walk across the floor with it. And he doesn't look like he could, but he's just so dense, so built.
Did you watch any of the UFC fights last night?
They were on at the restaurant we were at, just kind of in the corner. I didn't really watch too closely.
Did you rub shoulders with any big names last night? Was it Matt O'Keefe where you were?
No, I went out with the morning chalk up guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, just because it sounds like work.
No, we were just eating steaks and drinking beers.
Yeah, good dudes. You guys are all good dudes. Tell those guys, give everyone over there a hug for me. Slap someone on the ass. Are we done here?
I think so.